Now, Apple, as you know, released iOS 8 system last week with a long list of upgrades and enhancements. Well, if you don't know, iOS 8 is compatible with any 4S or phone after that. But there are some problems. So Dave Hatter here, our expert, is here to explain. Good morning to you.
Hi, Jessica. How you doing?
I'm so glad you're here. I almost downloaded this. I'm glad I didn't because I'm hearing about a lot of glitches. What are the problems?
Well, my advice to anyone is never go first because, you know, there's lots of moving parts to this stuff and sometimes it breaks. The two major problems that most people have reported so far, and it seems to be localized to the newer phones, the 6 and the 6S, are it broke the Touch ID. So if you're using the fingerprint to unlock your phone, it broke that. And some people, it just basically shut down their service. They couldn't make a call, which obviously is pretty significant.
Yeah. So what do you do if you do get that?
Well, if you did upgrade to the 8.01, you can basically, according to Apple, go back and take your phone. You got to have an internet connection. You got to have the Lightning to USB cable, and you got to have iTunes. And essentially, there's instructions on their site. They'll step you through it. And I would definitely recommend before you try this, you read the instructions carefully. But you can essentially roll the phone back to 8.00, the original version of the new operating system that just came out. And in theory, your phone should work fine then. And they're currently working on a new release that should fix the problems with 8.01.
That's good. So if folks aren't that tech savvy, can they just go to Apple and then have them
fix
it?
That's, Jessica, that's probably the best advice if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, because a lot of times you read those instructions and it's some mumbo jumbo and so forth. Yeah, you can go to a local Apple store and I'm sure they'd be happy to help you with it.
So Apple under a lot of heat, I think, for
definitely.
this, right? Because a lot of people are talking about how it's affecting their phones.
Well, yeah, obviously if you download a new operating system because you want the new features, and there are a lot of new features, and some of them are 6 specific, like the new Apple Pay feature where you can, can do commerce with it. Obviously, the last thing you want is for the phone to stop working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I'd be pretty unhappy about that. So, but my general advice to folks is don't rush into doing these kind of things because, there's millions of lines of code in this, millions of man hours probably. People make mistakes. I never, ever install anything immediately. I let it settle for a while and make sure I don't run into these kind of problems.
That's really good advice. Okay, we got to talk about this because Bendgate. Everyone's talking about the iPhone 6 Bendgate, the bendable phones. What's going on with that?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not an Apple guy. I'm more of an Android guy. Unfortunately, I haven't had any of these problems. Yeah, I know. I know it's blasphemous and all. I guess there's just manufacturing problems. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen anyone that's bent one, although honestly I haven't seen a lot of Apple 6 phones. Obviously that would be another problem. The last thing you want is a bent phone because my guess is in many cases it's going to crack the screen. It's going to literally break the phone. So yeah, Apple has not had a good run here with this recent release of hardware or software.
So you see what I mean? You get the new iPhone 6, you upgrade it, it doesn't work, it starts to bend. So maybe you should just wait and see how everything works before you buy it, as you mentioned.
Well, exactly. Or another thing, don't put it in your pocket. I think most of the bending comes from people that put it in their back pocket and sit on it. So don't do that.
Yeah, don't sit on it and don't be the first to upgrade. Good advice, Dave. We're going to put all that information, by the way, on our website at FOX19now.com. Dan?